You have turned your civilization into nanite-based empires, turned fully digital, and changed your organic populations into Omni residents capable of living on most if not all planets in the galaxy. But you've never seen beyond the Shroud and chosen to either devote your empire to a psionic reality or decided to fight off the Shroud as the Mindwardens, but that is what Stellaris Shadows of the Shroud allows you to do. And today, I'm collaborating with Paradox to show you exactly what this brand new DLC for this behemoth of a strategy game is all about. In many ways, Shadows of the Shroud completes the trilogy of overhauling ascensions. We've had the Machine Age for synthetics and cybernetics, Biogenesis for biologicals, and now Shadows of the Shroud for psionics, meaning that the various planes of existence, to put it one way, is complete. Now, the Shroud itself and the psionic perks are all useful if you're going for that otherworldly playthrough, but in this video, I want to tell you about the Mindwardens, a unique origin and civilization in Stellaris that deals with the Shroud in a very different way than the rest. You see, the Mindwardens despise the Shroud. For generations, they fought against the celestial psychic plague that devastated entire solar systems. The Mindwardens protect the galaxy from these forces, but get little in return. Located at the edge of the galaxy, they mostly keep to themselves, but of course, that will not last long. Mindwarden society may sound harsh. In order to keep the psychic plague at bay, a police state was established to keep order intact and to make sure the plague did not spread effectively. Indeed, alongside the military authoritarian government system, the Mindwardens established organized experimentation, including testing on criminal subjects. After all, being the galaxy's only true shield against the extremely dangerous psychic plague demands extreme measures. If they didn't do it, who else would? Most important of their defenses, however, was the Ancient Ward, a structure that shields their home planet from invading psychic forces. However, it would seem that the heyday of the Ward was over, because shortly after venturing into outer space, its sensors began producing irregular readings that made no sense based on their solar system alone. In addition, by venturing beyond their earthly confines, they discovered a new mysterious resource dubbed Shroud. Mysterious because they'd never seen it before, and because it seemed to carry anomalous neuro-invasive effects, making it potentially invaluable to future survival. Space is a vast, beautiful thing. Together, the Mindwardens explore their galactic neighborhood for the first time, discovering not just resources, but neutron stars, astral rifts, and multi-solar systems. Of course, as any curious interstellar adventurer, they were bound to find that which they feared most. In the newly explored Zaldar system, a crew of scientists suddenly began displaying adverse behavior. Emotional turmoil, debilitating mental stress, and worst of all, recurring visions of unspeakable horror. It didn't just affect the crew, the very ship itself experienced strange, erratic malfunctions. To any other civilization, these reports would have caused confusion and civilizational mayhem. To the Mindwardens, it was a reminder that their mission had just begun. The psychic energy didn't come from Zaldar, no, long-range scanners proved they came from a system 2 galaxies over, in the Formok system. As it stood though, this energy prevented any of their ships from breaking into that system until further research was conducted. It wouldn't be long, however, before their scanners revealed what they were up against. A seemingly never-ending veil of malicious energy that surrounded entire systems. And not only that, but intelligent life was found within it. The translators and scientists did their best to establish communications in the hopes of figuring out a way to stop the spread of hostile psychic energy, but to no avail. In fact, the mission was outright abandoned when transmissions revealed that the scientists had begun to ramble and detail dreams and delusions. It made no sense, and yet the message sent was like nothing they'd ever seen before. Before long, terror spread amongst Mindwarden government officials when it was clear that the psychic infection had spread into the Zaldar system neighboring their own. The energy enshrouded the system and made regular operations untenable, effectively destabilizing and paralyzing those who found themselves within its grasp. And the worst part, the Ancient Ward could do little to prevent the spread. The Mindwardens failed to understand the mysteries of the energy before it reached the home system of Liberaine. The terror had immediate effects, crippling their ability to operate warships and govern society at large. They called it the Aura of the Dreamer. Sensing impending doom, a major breakthrough sparked hope. Scientists had managed to analyze the energy force, classifying the destructive phenomenon as a psionic aura that damages both minds and technology. There was no time to lose if the galaxy were to survive. Through relentless research, Mindwarden scientists figured out a way to enhance the capabilities of the ancient ward, lending it improved psionic attenuators that could disable the energy throughout the star system. They called it the Grand Ward. Experimental testing on inmates were doubled in the hopes of making a breakthrough, not just in the anti-psionic crusade, but for the Empire overall. And at long last, the Grand Ward was built. Over the course of the next months, the harmful psionic radiation was expunged, and people could go back to living their lives as they were used to. But the Grand Ward only reached so far. The Zaldar system remained engulfed in the horror indefinitely. The solution was further research and testing. Not only did the subject experiments produce results, but special researchers pursued a breakthrough in the mystic arts of psionic suppression. Whether they were blessed by a wayward comet or the hailing of foreign agents is hard to say, but they soon discovered a way to create the Shroud Seal, a megastructure that radiated healing energy across not just one, but every connected system. This was the key to fighting back the psionic powers, but a disturbing discovery was also made, that of the Shroud beyond the physical realm, a dimension mentioned even in the Mindwardens texts of old. How to commune or even approach the potential movers behind the Shroud was unknown, but not long after discovering the Shroud Seal, a disturbing call came in from beyond the Zaldar system, perfectly translated to their own language. They called themselves the Listeners of the Sleeper. They spoke of the greater good, yet demanded that the Mindwardens shut down their Shroud Seals. Apparently, they were stewards of the psionic energy that threatened to spill across the galaxy. They tried to trick the Mindwardens into thinking they would benefit from it, but failed to persuade even a single official, yet demanded that the Mindwardens shut down their Grand Ward. They recalled the recent havocs wreaked by the Shroud, and so war broke out between the two. The Mindwardens entered it energized, emboldened by the recent scientific victories. Led by the experienced Minister of Defense himself, the Rapid Strike Fleet sought to meet their enemies in their space. Forgetting all about the weakening powers of the Shroud, the Mindwarden fleet was powerless in the face of the Listeners of the Sleeper, and the entire fleet was destroyed. Putting one's fleet before one's mind would never be done again, and the Wardenship quickly ordered the construction of the first Shroud Seal. The seal changed the tide of the war, not just on the space of battle, but also in the hearts and minds. One by one, the systems once engulfed by the Shroud were saved, and the new Mindwarden fleet made quick work of the enemy. New Shroud Seals were built closer to the source, and after a heavy bombardment campaign, the psionic menace was no more. But new knowledge of the recent events awaited. It was revealed that the Listeners were no ordinary species, but were elite telepaths belonging to a cult known as the Assembly of Mindways. Devoted to a patron known as the Dreamer, they had built a sanctum devoted to their god, whose secrets the Mindwardens had yet to expose. But soon, the cocoon-shaped sanctum opened, enabling, for the first time, direct contact between the Mindwardens and the beings beyond the Shroud. The being's voice was otherworldly, echoing across the minds of his interlocutors, but its words were almost childlike. It spoke of a song, wondering why the Mindwardens fought against it, why they had shut their minds off to it. But where it came from or what it was remained a mystery. With little less to go off of, the Mindwardens had a choice. The Wardenship could order the destruction of the Sanctum Cocoon, ensuring that no harm would ever come of it again. Its parts would be sold for scraps or as antiques, while the whole of Mindwarden kind would celebrate eternal victory. Or perhaps the cocoon could be used to their advantage. It would go against the ethos of their civilization, but some researchers suggested the Dreamer's immense power could be harnessed. Sure, it would make the populace unhappy, but the people forget in due time, while celestial relics are forever. And so, the Mindwardens, looking ever forward, saw fit to save the being from beyond the Shroud, known as the Dreamer. Safe within Mindwarden space, the Dreamer, now exploited as a relic, could achieve unimaginable things. Through the use of the mystical Zero resource, the relic could be activated, and so it was. Once again, the trembling voice of the Dreamer spoke out, but now seemingly as a friend. It spoke of hearing the melody that was once lost, seemingly happy that the Mindwardens listened. As the Dreamer dreamed, it revealed entirely new planets within Mindwarden space. They became known as Shrouded Worlds, uninhabitable by anyone for the time being. But after more communication with the Dreamer, the impossible happened. One of the Shrouded Worlds was transformed into a Gaia world, the most perfect of worlds to ever exist. Soon, colonizers built new intelligent life on the new bountiful planet. An idea was put forward not much later to create an independent fleet known as the Mindwarden Enclave that would hunt down psionic forces wherever they spread. Despite the recent victories, nobody knew what the future held, nor what kind of other patrons lied beyond the Shroud, if any. And soon, other problems would halt the Mindwardens' affairs entirely, when spies and other evil forces had turned a foreign empire into an attacking one, sparking the first interstellar war that did not include psionics. But of course, the Shroud was never far away. This was only the beginning. That was the story of the Mindwardens, an entirely new civilization in Stellaris Shadows of the Shroud, with a host of secrets to uncover and challenges to overcome. Stellaris is the grand strategy sci-fi game that just keeps on giving, and if you've wanted to go deeper into the darkness of the galaxy than ever before, this DLC is it. So make sure to follow my link below if you too wish to dive into the Shadows of the Shroud. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, your comment with your thoughts down below, and subscribe to the channel for more. Thank you so much for watching, thank you so much to Paradox Interactive for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!